with Sherry is a bariatric podcast talking about weight loss surgery. I am not a licensed professional. Any views and or opinions expressed in the show are those of the speakers and do not reflect the bariatric community as a whole. Always reach out to a professional with any medical issues you are experiencing. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy the show. Hello, everyone, and happy Wednesday. Welcome to another episode of Unzipped with Sherry. With yours truly, I am Sherry. I am really looking forward to this episode. My guest is going to be Rabb today, who, interesting enough, is only 2 months post-op, but he already has like this mindset as if he's been like 8 years in the game like me. And one thing that I find interesting is he claims to think that he can go toe-to-toe with me in conversations and batting wits and all of that stuff. So I'm really curious to see how he's going to do today because he's been talking a lot of shit behind the scenes that you guys don't even know about. So now we're calling him out and seeing how it's going to go today. But on that note, I've only known him a very short period of time. I've already fallen in love with his personality and his character and his drive. And it's one of those things that I kind of wished that I had the mindset that he has 2 months post-op that took me years to get to. And it just goes to show we're always still a work in progress and everything, but he's such an incredible guy. I cannot wait to share you guys with him. So, Rabb, I hope you're ready because we's about to get unzipped. We all have a story on how we got here, right? So, for me, I used to be over 350 pounds until one day I made the single decision that I wanted change. Weight loss surgery has saved my life, and now I am here for you. I want to hear your story.
You know, the one that happened during that before and after picture? It's time to unzip. What's your story?
Hello, good sir. How are you today?
Oh, I am absolutely wonderful. I really appreciate those kind words. Great.
Which it really helps that you Venmo me beforehand to make sure that I said the nice things about you. So as long as the check clears, we're good. And I don't have to like take back my words.
Yes.
But seriously, like, thank you. First of all, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to come and be here with us today. I really do appreciate it. And so, yeah, how's your day going so far?
Absolutely wonderful. And I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to be here and hang out with you.
Absolutely. So I already know that you and I are going to get through this hour very, very quickly. We're not going to get to everything. So what I did want to do is, because obviously I've gotten to know you on a personal level. There's people watching who already know you and love you. But for those people who are seeing you for the very first time, I kind of wanted to give people like a little bit of a backstory onto what your origin story was and how we got here today.
Absolutely. So my origin story, I'm gonna take it back just a tad bit, a little bit, because it gradually developed into where I am today.
Okay.
So if I take a brief a quick description, let's take a look. When I was younger, I grew up in foster care for about a year and a half, in and out, back and forth with parents. I left home and went on my own when I was 15 years old. Got involved with, the drug scene, selling drugs, doing drugs. And then I'd say that was around 15 years old. I'd say around 16, 17, I had my first child was born when I was, a junior in high school.
Wow.
So starting out, it already became, I was introduced to a lot of stress and dysfunctional upbringing. It was very difficult to endure that coming up, and after I left high school when I was in the 10th grade. I'd say probably about 7 years later, I just took the GED. I got the GED. At that time, 7 years later, I would say I had I don't know. At that point, I had 4 kids, so 17 to the time I was about 26, 27. My last kid was born. I was running the street. I didn't want to do anything for my life, for my kids. Um, I didn't really know what direction to go into. And ultimately, at the end of the day, I really didn't care. Um, I'd say uh, I got married, and I'm running through this really quick just to give an idea to where I'm trying to get to at the end. Um, I'd say by the time I turned 32, I kind of snapped out of it. It was 32 years old when I finally realized that, the drugs, the game, the running from home to home, from
But
relationship.
but obviously, okay, so you leave home at 15 and you go down like this kind of downward trajectory but it becomes the only life that you've ever known at one point. Like when you're that far immersed
Yep,
in drugs and the lifestyle, and what this is the only thing that you've known for literally half your life at this point if you're like 32. So
yep.
I'm just curious to know, like, before we all make major changes, usually there's some kind of a pivotal moment or a rock bottom, so to speak. What was it for you that made you decide, like, you don't want to do this anymore?
I felt like I was going to die.
Well, that'll do it.
There was a time where I wouldn't say, well, yeah, I could say that I probably OD'd on the drug that I was using.
Okay.
Um, but it put me in a mental capacity where I thought I wasn't going to return. I wasn't going to come back, and it scared the shit out of me.
So
So
you were in a high that was so real that you felt like you were never going to come out of it.
yeah, like I was in a high, and my mind state knew I was in a high, but uh, my actions, I was in a high, and I felt like, there was, I wanted to come out of this high, but I couldn't, and there was nothing I could do but wait it out. And luckily I came back.
Holy crap. So that was enough of a wake up call for you to be like, holy fuck, I need to do something different. Excuse my language.
Yeah, no, yeah, most definitely. Um, and that's what happened. I mean, and that's like the story of my life. I get to the point where, oh, that almost killed me. Stop.
Mm.
You know, oh, that drug almost killed me, or that decision almost killed me. Stop. And that's the only way I learned. That's how I picked that up moving forward. No therapy. The luck of becoming close to real good people
Mm.
along the way. I was fortunate to come across good, loving people and friends. And it was always, my family was pretty dysfunctional. We weren't as tight as, what you would see on TV. We would check in with one another every once in a while, but my family, for the most part, were the friends and the people that I was lucky enough to get surrounded by coming up. And it's
Yeah.
pure, it wasn't me. It was, me running into relationships and friendships that were genuine, where,
Mhm.
I wasn't used to seeing friends cry over, being treated by another friend in a wrong way, and them actually conversating and talking about it and sorting those thoughts out, and working it out and showing love for each other. um,
Mhm.
and also, to add on to that, when I was doing the grimy things that I was doing, and living that negative
Lifestyle.
style, no one wanted nothing to do with me. you know no one trusted me, no one wanted me around. And the only love that I got was from people that I would come across. So I
Right.
made that change. So
And I'm curious to know, because I know that when it comes to people, because you did not struggle necessarily with obesity like growing up. You started gaining weight like later on in life as a result of coming off the drugs and everything, because you and I have talked. But any the reason that we come into an addiction with food, or come into an addiction with alcohol or drugs, it's usually because of some kind of emotional, trauma, or some kind of things that happen. And it sounds like that you had a lot of like disconnect growing up, and a lot of shit that's happened to you, that at one point, like, you left, you kind of found the first people that were truly giving you attention and gave you like this sense of family. They were filling this void for you, and it also happened to come along with drugs in this whole environment. But when you make this decision at like 32 to kind of stop everything cold turkey, this was a vice that you used to cover up your past for so long.
Hmm.
So it's not like you can just wake up one day and be like, yeah, I'm good. And just like, now I'm sure that there's some people who can, like, more power to you. But when you make this decision at 32, what happens next?
Yeah. So just to recap real quick, I mean, we have to understand is that the way that I was brought up and the things that I was going through, drugs covered up all whatever mental
Mm-hmm.
illness I may have had. It wasn't seeing a therapist, it wasn't getting some help. The conversations and talks that I had with good friends were great, but I still had that mental thing going on.
Mm-hmm.
So doing the drugs, all that, all the way up till I was 32 when I had enough, and I couldn't anymore. Not to mention, I was driving a tractor trailer up and down the road, so I couldn't do drugs anymore. I was being
Right.
pissed all the time for DOT. And being behind the wheel, so now I'm smoking more cigarettes and I'm eating more truck stop food and I'm eating and I'm eating. And next thing you know, I'm 328 pounds and I'm overweight. Obesity sets in, blood pressure's high, A1C out of nowhere, and sleep apnea. I had a sleep machine. I have to use a sleep apnea machine, and before I know it, I was addicted to food, and I didn't even realize it. You know, and we use these addictions to cover up what we're
Mm-hmm.
experiencing mentally, and mental health. And yeah, that's where I am today. But hitting 32, like I said, I was driving a tractor trailer. I couldn't drive a tractor trailer and do drugs. I felt like it was going to kill me. I stopped cold turkey because of that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I had a child that wasn't living with me at the time who, that's another story, but had been sent to live with me where I was living at the time. And I had to raise her. And that was my opportunity to shine and stand up for my daughter. And I gotta got bring to attention that throughout all that, not being involved in my kids' lives was the most detrimental thing that I've gone through all my life personally. And it bothered me, and it hurt me throughout my life that I wasn't there like I was supposed to be for my children. And when I had that opportunity, when my daughter came to live with me, it was time to,
Jumped on it.
keep doing drugs, or you're going to snap out of it and start taking care of your business. And that was my opportunity.
Which I give you mad props for that, because I've met so many people over the years that once you're down that rabbit hole, it's so hard to come out of it. Like, even if you're slapped with, potential death, or with a very serious thing, or the chance at reconciliation with somebody that you love, sometimes the addiction has completely overpowered them and they can't make the first step. So number one, the fact that you suffered through an addiction for literally half of your life at that point, and were able to have enough motivation, whether it was your daughter or whatever, to make the decision that you might not know the answers or how you're going to get there, but you're sure as fuck going to try. And
Right.
so I think that's completely commendable. But like we've talked about a lot in the bariatric community with it, these transfer addictions, where like if you're not dealing with your demons and you're not dealing with your past, you might cut one vice, but then you start turning to another vice. And in your case, you don't realize it's happening when you're in the middle of it. I know that when my husband and I first started dating, I've talked about on the show, in the first year, because of our living situations, we ate fast food, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And
Yep.
you're not paying attention to the scale moving. You're not weighing yourself or whatever. But it was in one year, we both gained over 100 pounds in one year. And most people can look at you like, how did you not notice? How did you not notice your pants or whatever? And I'm like, when you're in the middle of either coming off of something or focusing on something, you're not thinking about it. So I'm curious for you, like, at what point did it finally start kind of sitting in, going, holy shit, I kind of put on a few pounds here?
It's funny because I didn't notice it until probably like a couple years ago. I didn't really care. Like I knew what I had to do. Like, and I would say probably over the past 10 years, I knew I had to work out. I knew I had to lose weight. I knew what I had to do. I know how to work out. I know how to lift weights, but I just wasn't doing it. I couldn't. I would go through those 90-day phases where, oh, I'm keto this week, or I'm paleo, Mediterranean, tried
Mm-hmm.
diet, and stuck to it. I stuck to it for 90 days. I dropped like 20, 30 pounds. And then I wouldn't get around to prepping a meal or something like that. And then, McDonald's always has that deal. As soon as you're trying to start losing weight, there's always that 2 for $2 going on. So, being in a truck and being, stuck behind the wheel, trying to stay awake behind the wheel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, one thing leads to the next, and you're eating a whole daggone restaurant for.
It's a lot of instant sugar rushes. It's a lot of caffeine. It's a lot of sodas. It's a lot of fast food. Because you can't really it's a lot of gas station, junk food or whatever to get you through the day. Because you can't really take your like little big wheeler through the drive-through at a McDonald's or whatever. Like you actually have to like buy. I'm assuming like you have to buy a bunch of stuff and have it in the truck. And then for me, if I have an overabundance of snacks, okay, I'm not gonna like ration them throughout the time. Like the minute I see them, I'm just gonna keep eating it.
Right, and that's what I did. I would eat until it was gone.
Mm-hmm.
There was one time I was living in Florida at the time, and a buddy turned me on to this gas station. It was a gas station, and it had the best food ever. It had fried shrimp, fried chicken.
What?
It was crazy. Just pies, and I love cheesecake, so I was all over it. And I settled on the calories, and I looked everything up, Fitness Pal, what have you. It was like 3,000 calories, and I punished all of it. Easy.
Holy shit.
Easy. And it was fun when I was doing it.
I do love. I know.
Yeah.
I just broke up with cheese for a while or whatever, but man, cheesecake is like my jam.
I did, and I still love watching it. I like to look at it,
Okay, I don't want to look at it if I can't touch it. Sorry, that's why I'm not going to strip clubs. Not happening.
Yeah, no.
Not paying money if I can't have a good time.
I hear you. But yeah, that is. And I was just thinking about this the other day. It's like, you're not even thinking about these addictions. And most of the addictions, like for me, like if I'm going back to the drugs and I'm thinking about the drugs that I was doing, I was using them to mask these mental health issues that I was going through that I just could not face, and I didn't know how. So I was doing drugs. And then when I got to the point where the drugs felt like they were going to kill me, I stopped doing that, and just not even thinking about the transfer addiction. I started eating this food, and before I knew it, I'm overweight, and I'm getting feedback from the doctor out of nowhere, because I just turned 50. So at 49, everything started hitting the fan where, my blood pressure was like 150 over 104. I had this sleep machine that I just want, like, I can't wait to put under the back tire of my car right now. But the sleep machine, Darth Vader mask, and then my A1C hit like 6.7, and I know that's not as high as others, but still it's considered diabetes. And I just found this out when I was going through the whole trial and the interviews to get the bariatric surgery, the gastric bypass, by the way. And all this was coming to, reality. And I'm like, damn, I can't lose the weight on my own. I'm not losing the weight. And it seems like the only way I'm going to lose the weight is if I starve myself, literally. But it's like we go to these different addictions and all these cover-ups just to deal with the mental health and the stress that we've never faced. And now I've gotten to the point where I have these mental health issues that I need to face because now
Mhm.
I don't have any more addictions in
Nope.
the.
You can't shovel any food or drugs or alcohol into your system right now. You just got to sit there in your thoughts. So we're gonna talk about that, but I'm curious because was there a point? I'm trying to think of like how to ask it. Like I don't know, like when it got to the point when like you got off the drugs and like in your eating and like you realized that like you went from like almost one extremity to another. Um, that's what it was. One of the questions I wanted to ask is based on your history and you're a guy and like it's very in a male culture, we're not one to talk about our issues. It's more like this machismo attitude and you suck it up and you don't show emotions and you had like this, I don't know if it was necessarily a hardened like background or whatever. Um I'm just curious, like nowadays, like so when it came to the surgery, because I've interviewed a lot of guys over the last year who've had surgery, and we've noticed that there's not nearly as many guys as there are women who have bariatric surgery. In fact, I think it's like 70% of surgeries are women, which is why on social media you see far more women talking about it than men. I used to think that it was just because women were more vocal. It's just like, no, more women are just doing it. But when it comes to the men, I feel like there's still kind of like this slight stigma where guys are not as open or readily available with their emotions and how they're feeling. And I'm just curious for you, like how does that come into play with like the things that you face? Like what made you decide to want to be open with your story and want to be like vulnerable and talk about shit?
So, when I was considering getting the surgery, I'd say it was probably about a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago, when I was first considering to get the surgery. And I had put it on myself that, I was going to lose the weight. And then I finally got signed up for the surgery maybe 8 months ago or something like that. I don't remember the exact time.
Mm.
And I told myself, I was like, well, I'm either going to lose the weight before surgery or I'm going to get through it, and then have the surgery. Coming out about the surgery, that alone, just you bringing it up is why, and it has everything to do with uh, whatever I can do to help somebody, to get a message across. And I put that on because of being so fucked up when I was younger,
Yeah.
you know, doing people so dirty, being untrustworthy, um, manipulating people, treating people like shit, not giving a shit about taking care of my responsibilities when it comes to my kids, and becoming a horrible person. So anything that I can give back now to help someone and encourage someone to do better and become memorable in people's lives and just show love, that would be the reason why it's not an issue for me to come out and talk about the surgery.
Which I think that's really commendable of you. And like you and I have talked too, that you're just one of these people that at the end of the day, we can't change our past. We can't change the former versions of ourselves. It's not like we can get into a DeLorean and like go back in time and undo all the wrongs. Like, yeah, I made an 80s reference, get over it. But there are some people that have such a sordid past that the shame that they feel when they go back in time and like they relive those moments in their head, sometimes it's too much for them to be able to progress forward, whether it's fear or the judgment or the shame. But what I love about you is despite what's gone on in your past, like at, at this point in your life, you've accepted that your past is the past. You can't go back and change it, but you're owning it. You're owning like I have made mistakes in my past, and even though I can't right every wrong right now, if there's ways that I can right it, in whether it's in paying it forward and helping other people down the road, or being open about your story in the hopes that maybe somebody can be inspired, or give them the courage to make changes for themselves too. Like I think that's an amazing quality to have. And like I said, the fact that you've already gotten to this place so early in your journey, you're one of those people, and I've told you that when you get as far out as me, like almost 9 years out, I think you're going to far surpass wherever I am in this moment, because I wish that, yeah, I can fluff your ego once in a while. The Venmo payment was really high.
But I just
Um,
don't know what you mean by that. That's what that is, Sherry.
it means because like you have such a good headspace. Like for me, like I was such an insecure person for so many years. I was such a people pleaser. It took me years to get to a point where I truly understood my value and owned up to my past and forgave myself for the damage that I did to my own body, like for so many years. It took me years to get to that place to now be where I'm at now. But the fact that you have already started this trajectory so early on in this bariatric version of your journey, that's what I mean. Is I think that you're going to progress far more forward in a shorter period of time than I ever did. Because I'm pretty awesome. Like I can admit that.
You are.
But I think you might become more awesome, is what I'm saying.
I don't know.
I hope not.
I don't know. And when you mention that I'm that you perceive that I'm able to forgive myself for the past. I'll never be able to forgive myself for the past. Never. But that's what gives me the drive, to just try to be a good person, and love people. My biggest pet peeve is when and everything isn't for everybody. My biggest pet peeve is like when people don't like me or they don't accept me for whatever
Mm-hmm.
reason it is. It really hurts me and bothers me because all I think about is trying to become acceptable because I used to be fucked up,
Right.
So if I was still that person, then we have a problem,
Right.
then you have a reason. But if I'm showing you nothing but love and being kind to you and trying to help you, and accepting you for who you are, no matter what you believe in, then that's all that matters, and that's
Right.
what makes me feel good. That's what makes me comfort my mental, with the things that I've dealt with and what I still deal with today.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, and we have to remember too that the more vocal you become and the more active you become, especially in social media or in the outside world, you're gonna have days where somebody just doesn't like you and there's nothing. And I used to struggle with that so much because I will bend over backwards for somebody. I'm such a people pleaser. And when you've given yourself entirely to somebody and for them to turn around and not like you or whatever, like it used to cut me to the core. But over the years I've learned I literally have zero control over what people's opinions are of me, what they're going to think of me, or how they're going to treat me. All I can do is I can have the control to determine how much is this going to affect me? How much is this going to bother me? How much are they going to live rent free in my head? And just to go back to what you said earlier, I do think that there is a huge difference between forgetting the past and forgiving the past. I do think that at some point you can get to the point, not that you can forgive yourself for everything that you've done in your past, but I think you can get to the point where you can forgive yourself for allowing the this allowing how it affected your body and your own mental state for as long as it did. You
right.
don't have to forget if like I don't believe in forgetting my past, and if I had to go back in time tomorrow and do everything all over again, there's some really dark shit in there. I would still do it all over again because that dark shit has helped me define like who I am today, and had I not gone through that, I probably would be a completely different person. But I've forgiven myself for how long I damaged my body and I damaged my soul because of decisions from my past, if that makes sense.
It makes perfect sense, definitely.
Mhm.
And that's I got the same mind frame. My head is in the same.
Yeah.
Um, it's like, and if we go back just a little bit, the time that I spent in a foster care when I was younger, is because of, some things that my mom did. And my dad wasn't there the way he should have been, but I still love them, man. Irregardless of what we went through when we were younger, we were younger, and I've been there. And it's like if you hold on to those things, and then it
Yeah.
just keeps and you just can't move forward. So no, I can't hold on to things. I have to move forward. I have to be happy because that's what we have, is our happiness. So
100%. So here we are now. You have had the surgery 2 months ago. I'm curious, like, what kind of things go through your head, like right before, like were you excited about it? Were you anxious about it? Like, why are we laughing?
Because I was like it was funny because I remember laying in the bed, and then the anesthesiologist comes in. He hits me in the arm, plugs me in the arm, gives me this little shot, and says, "All you're gonna need to do is go to sleep." And I was like, "All right, bet, cool." So they wheel me back. I'm going into the operation room. I get over to the operation bed, and I'm looking over. There's a doctor over there with his back turned. Didn't even say hi. Whatever. The nurses are laying me down on the operation. They're like, "Scoot over." And I said, "Well, before you all stabbed me 6 times, I want to make sure that you all know that I'm very thankful. I appreciate it, and I got to make it clear to you, please. I don't know what the what the protocol is, but when it comes to the catheter, make sure that you put it in when I'm out and take it out before I wake up." Okay. So after the surgery, I was in the surgery for 4.5 hours, and then I get out of the surgery and I wake up. The catheter's out, clear, good to go.
Lucky?
No, it gets
No.
better. So then, you got that gas. Everybody's complaining about, oh, you're all full, and it's really uncomfortable. It's just really uncomfortable. It hurts, but it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And then I couldn't pee, and I had to pee, and I couldn't. So they had to stuff the catheter back in this place. But other than that, it was good to go. Easy, super easy. I woke up. I was good to go. Got the catheter taken out immediately after they drained me. I was happy. I felt good, relieved. Gas pain was really uncomfortable. Started drinking the water and started running, doing laps, trying to get up out of
Wait.
that.
So were you awake? So you were awake and they had to put the catheter back in you?
Yes, I just woke up.
Did you just you felt okay. You know what though? I don't want to hear you complain because number one, you're not a fucking girl. Number two, do you know what it's like to wake up from surgery and have a freaking catheter inside of you and it's time for your first walk? So your husband is on one side of the bed with you, and Mr. Giant 6'5" swole dude African American male nurse is on the other side of you, and they're helping you off the bed. And all of a sudden you feel a trickle and you're like, I think I just pissed myself, but there's a catheter in you and you never had a catheter before. And it turns out you didn't piss yourself, but you started your period right then and there in front of your husband and big giant 6'5" swole dude, African American nurse. Yeah. You want to say that your little catheter experience is worse than that?
All right, you won that one.
Okay. Thank you.
But damn.
It sucks.
Yeah.
It's not pleasant.
It was bad, but I was relieved. But I feel bad for you. I'm sorry.
It does suck. I got over it. I forgave myself for it, for letting it affect me for so long. I was pretty traumatized.
That is trauma.
It was. And so I'm curious for you. So now that you, there's literally no way for me to transition from that story. So I'm not even going to fucking try.
No. So, I mean, that would sum it up about how anxious I was. I mean, I was ready to do it because I had committed.
Yeah.
And I was sick of experiencing, every day I was complaining about my chest hurts. I was driving my girlfriend up the daggone wall. I need to go to the hospital, the ED every freaking day. I would go in there and they'd be like, oh, anxiety, you're fine. Nothing's wrong with you. And then, I'm funny about checking my labs. So I check my labs before the doctor does, and he comes back, oh, nothing's wrong, you're fine, but my labs are crazy. My A1C 6.7. So now you got diabetes, you got blood pressure. Now you've started blood pressure medications you've been trying to avoid, but now you got to take. And then that's damn Darth Vader sleep apnea mask.
I've never had a CPAP machine.
It's ridiculous.
Crazy.
I'm surprised I ain't choked my girlfriend out in her sleep with it.
That sucks. I would feel bad for your girlfriend. That would suck.
Breathing all damn night.
Please tell me that you said, Luke, I am your father while half asleep, because that would be amazing.
No, I haven't.
I bet you that there's a video somewhere of your lady doing it while you're sleeping.
I have said, I love you. Are you hungry? Give me a kiss. And you know, I know there's some people that might see this, and you know, I don't want you to get offended with the sleep apnea machine.
No.
I just hate it. I can't stand
No, but I don't think that there's anybody who said, "Wow, I really wish I could put a giant apparatus around my face when I go sleeping by choice."
it.
I
Yeah,
think
it,
people
it,
can learn to tolerate it, people can learn to live with it, but I don't think there's anybody who's excited to do it every single day. If there's a way that they can get around it and get it off of it, they're going to do that first and foremost.
and also I bet it was also worse when I had, you know, the braces on the two front teeth and that little headgear that went around my
Yeah.
head to go to school with. Yeah,
Okay,
that was worse.
I didn't have a headgear. You can win that one. Point one for you. I just had regular standard braces.
Lucky you. I
Mm.
was on welfare. They only paid for two.
So now I'm curious. So now you have completely changed your life. You've gotten off drugs. You transferred over to food. Now you just cut your basically your oxygen supply, your mental health oxygen supply, because now you can't eat the food that you used to eat or whatever. So what are we do? Like, where are you at right now with your headspace, and like, what are you doing to rectify, to get over this hurdle so that you don't transfer into something else now?
Yeah, that's what I'm going through right now. That's where
Okay,
I'm. Um, I got to tell you, I don't have to use my sleep apnea machine anymore. I'm off my blood pressure medication.
good.
Um, I haven't been back for that check on the A1C, but I'm almost positive that it's come down. Um, my food my food decisions are awesome. You know, I just, if it doesn't have protein in it, I don't eat it. You know, that's basically what I live by, and my fluids are on par. But yes, the mental health and how to deal with a social, because a social life, because I like a social life, my friends, and hanging out and having a drink or two every
Mm-hmm.
once in a while, you know. And being like, I was at the wedding, you know, some really good friends of mine just recently got married, and they had probably the definitely the best wedding I've ever freaking been to in my life. And I'm at this wedding and everybody's, you know, dancing and having a blast, and I got to find this way to, you know, dance and have a blast and be drunk on just life, enjoy myself on life. And I did, like, I completely enjoyed myself. I enjoyed myself so much watching other people enjoy themselves that that's what I did to get through that. But
Mm-hmm.
I did not know how to use that social aspect, like that whole being out, you know, outright, you know, like communicating, being in conversation on the same level as other people were,
Right.
because I was wishing I could partake in, you know, loosen up a little bit.
But I think, like people always say like they want that liquid courage or whatever, but I think it's not so much liquid courage as that we're using alcohol to kind of overcome our insecurities so that we can blame it on the alcohol
Uh,
for doing the things that we secretly wanted to do but just need the little extra courage or whatever, or the confidence to do it, because you feel there's something about like when you're drinking too much alcohol where almost you feel like not everybody can see everything. It's almost like there's like a couple filters on you or whatever, and it's like, no, people can see everything in its pure form, but you feel somewhat hidden by it, so you can kind of come out of your shell a little bit more. But I do think that when it comes with, as you're progressing through this journey, and the more things that you start accomplishing, the more NSVs you have, non-scale victories for you normie stomachs, the more that you start doing, the more confident you start feeling, the more self-esteem that you start getting, the more value you find, that I think you're going to find yourself at these weddings and at these events acting as if you would have had you had a couple of drinks or whatever.
so I agree, but at the same time, I have to say that I still have that insecurity of myself in front of people. So like
Yeah.
if yeah, if I had a drink or two, I wouldn't when I was like super overweight, and I would just let myself go. But I still have that fat boy mentality that I've talked about before, where I just can't snap out of it, and just let myself go. And that's a mental thing that I need to face.
Oh yeah, but you're still a newbie. That's not going to come overnight. Like for some people, it can take years. I don't think it's going to take you years or anything like that, but I think it's going to take you a couple of months. Because right now, like I don't know, in the last 2 months, how much have you lost from the surgery?
Last 2 months, went into surgery 304. I'm down to 249 right now.
Holy fuck!
49, 50, like almost
51.
pounds.
That's incredible. See, that's a lot of weight to lose in just 2 months. So
Mm.
even though physically your body is shifting, your head is not there yet. You're like, I don't
No.
know. Do you see the difference in the mirror yet?
Oh yeah, it's scary. Yeah, for sure. Like sometimes, and even in pictures, like when I take pictures, I'm like, oh shit. I took a picture with a tank top on the other day, and I was like, yo, who the hell is that? Like, I have no idea who that is. It's really crazy. It's quite the change. So
But were you seeing changes every single day, like when you were looking in the mirror? Like my point being is that like when you're in the middle of it, especially in the first few months, everything is happening so quickly that you're not seeing how quickly the changes are coming until somebody might say something to you or until somebody shows you like a before and after picture or you have some kind of a visual guideline. So it takes a while for your brain to catch up to everything that's been going on.
I got that. I got it. Yeah, I could see where that's happening for sure.
Yeah, Chuck, he's just a newbie. He's not OG status yet like I am.
No, not yet.
So, have you had any first NSVs just yet?
First NSVs. Uh, yeah, just like losing the weight that I've lost. Obviously, I mean that would definitely be the first NSV. Getting on the daggone operating table in the first place was an NSV.
That's pretty
Um,
huge.
yeah. Maintaining, getting through those stages. That first, second, and third stage is brutal. It's
Like
like,
the food stages.
yeah, the food
Yeah.
stages. Like you go on that, pre-op diet, and then you think that's it. After the pre-op diet, everything's normal. No,
Yeah.
no. The pre-op diet is you're getting ready to face reality, is what that is, and you go through, just fluids, and you're just drinking fluids, and then you kind of gradually move into the puree, and then solids, and then when you get to solids, you can't even eat that much anyway. Like, I mean, it's what at this point, what do I even waste my time eating for?
I know. I used to be in the Chuck. To answer your well, number one, I love your last name because my mom. One of my favorite dishes my mom ever made was chicken cacciatore, and I just fucking love that. Um, but two, one of my an NSV stands for a non-scale victory. So an NSV is like something that maybe you've done that you've never been able to do or haven't done in a very long time. One of the most common excited NSVs for women is being able to cross your legs again for the first time, or or sitting in a booth in a restaurant because a lot of people weren't able to sit in a booth. It's fitting in a regular size bathroom stall in a public place. So it's all of these different little, kind of like little victories that you can do now that you couldn't do before. And I remember like the first few months, I hated that part of the journey. And I used to call them sleeve peeves. And it was like these little things that used to piss me off. And one of them was I would spend like 30 minutes trying to find like some kind of a new dish to try, something gourmet to mix it up and not have the same shit. And
Yeah,
I would go through all this work. And then so I had like this hot little chicken dish or whatever. And then after the first bite, it's already getting cold. And by the second bite, the whole dish is like fucking cold. And you're like, ugh. And I would get so frustrated
yeah,
because then it's like you have to constantly have to reheat it just to be able to eat because you have to wait like what is like 5-10 minutes between each bite in one
yeah.
phase. Drove me crazy. But I can tell you, it gets better.
Does it?
That is not forever.
Yeah. Not.
It's just right now.
I don't eat hot meals. I taste them.
You get one bite of a hot meal and then it's like, it's turning lukewarm, and then might as well just keep it in the fridge.
Yep, yep, absolutely. I mean, I go for like, wraps, turkey wraps. I try to do some salads. Cottage cheese, I'm finding out, is like golden. I
Yeah, I
mean,
haven't tried it yet.
cottage cheese.
Yeah,
You never tried cottage cheese?
no. It's a texture like the way that it looks. It looks like my thighs. I can't eat that.
Try it, I guess. Put some chopped up pineapple up in there.
Is I oh, I have heard that people will take an immersion blender and they'll blend it so it's like a smooth consistency or
Yeah,
texture
put some Cool Whip in there.
in
It's
cottage cheese.
Yes, yes, just do it. Just
Really?
Yeah,
All right. I will.
cottage Cool Whip and some pineapple slices.
That actually sounds kind of good. Does it
And
taste
and you could sprinkle in some no sugar jello like strawberry.
really like just the packet?
Yeah,
Interesting.
it's very good. I love it.
Okay, so I'm learning a little hack from you already. I like it.
Well, it's TikTok. I mean, they got everything going on there.
They do. I never like got into the foodie talks or the water talks. But you know what? Back then there was no TikTok, so I didn't have that to use for recipes or water or anything like that.
Yeah, cottage cheese stuffed mini peppers with
What?
everything bagel seasoning. I bet it's so good.
I am obsessed with everything but the bagel seasoning right now. I put it
Yeah,
on a lot of shit.
yeah.
Okay, Sarah, I'm gonna try that. So, what is something right now that you are actively working towards or looking forward to being able to do? Like, what is something that, like, like you and I, I'm a firm believer in manifesting. I'm a firm believer in visualizing things that you want. And one thing that really helped me the first like 4 to 5 months, like post op, was I
Mm.
kept fixating on different things that I couldn't wait to do again or I had never done before. Like, I would make my little vision board and stuff, and when I would do that, it kind of helped alleviate the stresses of not being able to eat the foods that you want and not be fixated on, the diet or, you know, whatever like food references there are everywhere. What are some things for you that you're looking forward to being able to do?
I want to run a 5K
I like it.
nonstop
Without stopping.
without stopping. I want to
Okay.
5K. I want to be flexible again. I want to work out just because it just makes me feel good mentally. So that's what I want to do.
I think that's incredible.
I'm going.
And hmm?
I'm going to do it.
Good answer. I like
Yeah.
that better. Because I will say, obviously, what people, and I think people who've not had bariatric surgery don't understand how much of a mental and emotional journey that this is as well. Because, like we were saying, you people who have become obese or suffered with weight are often have an emotional connection to food. And when you completely remove that, it's kind of like, and there's people who've never done drugs before, so they can't compare it to that. There's something with drugs, like if you were ever on heroin or weed or whatever the case may be, you can one day wake up at 32 years old and decide, boom, I am never going to touch it ever again, and you can survive the rest of your life. People can have their last drink and never have a sip of alcohol for the rest of their life and be fine. A food addiction, I think, is far more dangerous because you can't just stop eating for the rest of your life and never touch it again. So you need food to survive, but then the food that you're eating is slowly killing you over time. So to be able to find this balance on how to eat to live and not live to eat, I think people don't understand how much of a mental struggle that is in the beginning.
Yeah. It's painful. Like it is absolutely painful. And you go through the whole psychiatric eval. You talk to a psychiatrist. Well, I did. I know not everybody does from what I
Mhm.
hear, but yeah, I talked to a psychiatrist and they gave me the green light. But and I wouldn't say that I told the psychiatrist what I thought I had to tell him to give me the green light, but and I didn't really I heard what I had to do as far as the changes in eating, get used to not drinking 30 minutes before you eat or not eating after 30 minutes after you drink, and so on and so forth. But when you're actually doing it and it's time, it's crunch time and you have to and you don't have a choice, or you'll end
Yeah.
up in for overeating or drinking too much at one time. um, it really sets in, and you really start to realize how important, it is to take your time, relax, slow down, and eat what you're supposed to be eating. So
Yeah. If anybody has questions for Rab too, like don't make me do all the work, you guys. Like ask him some questions too. Um, do you think that because I don't think that the most people do a psych eval before the surgery. I think almost everybody has to because of insurance. But the psych eval, I don't know about for you. I think it's on average it's only like an hour. I don't think that that's really enough time to go through like an entire life history to see if you're mentally ready for the surgery. But based on how you're feeling now and the place that you're in now, do you think that you were mentally prepared enough for what the surgery was going to bring you after?
no.
Okay.
I felt like, they gave me a good idea, and I was able to say, oh, this is what they're talking about, you know,
Okay.
but I can't say that, and I wouldn't change it. Like I do it all over again, but just, wrapping your head around, you're shutting down. You can't have these things anymore. You cannot eat this much food anymore. You are, you know, restricted. And that part is fine, but the mental part, like getting your head in the right headspace to deal
Mhm.
with those demons, man, because they're still there, and they're waiting on you, and you don't even realize it until after you've completely disposed of all the addictions.
Right. So that I think is something important that we should talk about. Obviously, whatever you're comfortable talking about, but
Mm.
you have a lot of demons in your past.
Oh yeah.
So, in order to not fall behind and become the person that you used to be, what are things that you are doing or actively in the progress of doing in facing your demons and coming out the other side of it?
Yeah, so just, continuing the work I do with children and families, and trying to help people better their lives. I everyone I come into contact with, I try to, develop a good, rapport, and
Hmm.
be real with people 100% of the time. Strengthen my circle, with only people who support me in what it is that I'm doing, um, and get rid of the slack. That's it. And I know you're looking at me like, "Hey, Rab, what about a therapist?" And I've had that as an idea. I've been shooting that idea around with some coworkers and talking about it. That it may be very helpful, and I know it would be. It's just actually
Do you think that therapy is like some kind of a machismo sign of weakness?
no,
Okay.
not not at all.
Is it that you're worried that stuff's going to come out in a moment that you're not ready to deal with it?
No, I just need to stop talking about it and start being about it.
Oh, we just need to. Okay,
I
so we
need
put
the
our money.
therapist.
You just need to fucking do it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Uh,
Beth
thanks.
thinks you're pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think he's just I. Beth wants to know what made you decide to get on the 1776 challenge. Excellent question.
The 1776 challenge, because it got me moving. It got me going. I wasn't doing anything but sitting around talking about what I have to do and what I need to do and what I know I need to do, and I wasn't doing it. And then that support that I get from that group,
Mm.
Sherry, your group, the MOBA Challenge group. I mean, every night, 9 o'clock. I mean, it works with my schedule. I look forward to it. I love the camaraderie. I love the push, the support. It's all about building my circle, like I said.
I love that. And somebody had mentioned, yeah, Sarah said therapy isn't a bad thing. And you know what, Sarah, like I think it's interesting because I'm a firm believer that if you actively want help, you should seek what other help and whatever options and resources that you have to you. I was one of those people for years. I had a negative taste about therapy. I thought it was so cliche to just, label somebody with some kind of a disorder. Here's a couple of pills and make you go about your way. But it wasn't until I had a nervous breakdown years ago. It was 3 years post-op, and I was so lost that I could not function on a daily basis, that I that had to succumb to taking some medication, and I had to go to therapy, and I had to start, talking it out, like how I got to this place. And I realized that the surgery itself is only going to take you so far. Like, yes, you can physically lose all of this weight despite how rigid you are with your regimen. However, if you do not, find, rectify your past and face your demons and face the reasons and the triggers that got you to turning to food in the first place, this surgery is going to do nothing for you long term. It'll take you maybe a year, maybe 18 months if you're lucky. But if you don't learn to dig within and find peace within yourself, then you're going to have the same problems like down the road. So I do think that whether for some people it's meditation or therapy or hypnotherapy or support groups, or like even like Overeaters Anonymous, like any kind of a support group or therapy group, I think is amazing to do that for yourself, and there's nothing wrong with it.
That's right.
So
I
just
believe.
fucking do it. Or
I'm gonna.
yoga, yes.
Yeah, yoga's good. I like yoga.
Would you try yoga?
Yes, yes, yes. I would.
I want to do. Maybe we could plan a live and do like a yoga session or something.
We should. I used to do the whole yoga with Adrienne on YouTube. She's awesome, and it's
Really?
yeah, and she like helps beginners, people who are just getting into it. It's great,
Mhm.
and I like.
Yeah, Sarah says the real mindfuck came about a year post-op once the weight stopped coming off. Not necessarily a question, just a thought to be prepared for and something to consider. I've been a firm believer in trying to be more vocal with people. The first year is made up of so many NSVs, amazing moments, new milestones, like hitting goal weights and everything. But there comes a time when you're there, or you're very close to being there, or you've rounded third, and the weight doesn't come off as quickly. You're not losing 20 pounds in 3 weeks or whatever it is. And I think that's when the real true mind fuckery comes, because like then you realize, oh shit, I have the rest of my life to figure out a structure and have discipline, and like I can't just go back to old habits and everything. So I'm I'm a firm believer in making sure, like we said, to doing whatever you need to do as early on as possible to start mentally preparing yourself. And I waited years before I started going to the gym. I did my walks and I just did like the bare essentials, but it was because of that lack of working out that my body was not strong enough to support myself. And then my back went out a year ago when I finally did start doing stuff. So
Yeah.
my biggest advice is relearn your relationship with food as early on as possible through whatever means that is, like I said, with any kind of support groups. And B, I'm not saying you have to go into the gym and get swole overnight, but some kind of physical or strength training or resistance training to slowly start building your muscles again, because as the weight's coming off, you're naturally going to be using muscles that you probably haven't used in a really long time, so you want to
Right.
start strengthening them early on.
Right. And I've just experienced that here recently, just like when we're doing the push-ups and stuff on the challenge. I mean, I can tell you right now, I mean, I could do push-ups straight out when I was heavier, you know,
Mm-hmm.
but I've lost this weight and change in my diet, I have to do my push-ups on my knees at this point because
Yeah.
I just don't have the strength. It's getting better for sure. It's coming back pretty quickly, but I mean, it will take a toll on you if you just let it ride. So
Yeah. And then also, like for me, I got way too overzealous last year when I did that 75 hard. I thought I was fucking unstoppable and I was doing shit I never did. And I sent Rabb a picture. I was hanging upside down from a stripper pole thinking I was fucking badass. And then literally like 2 days later, I threw my back out and
yeah,
put me on my ass it took me 6 months. And I still have issues with my back. This is back in beginning of September, end of August of last year. I'm still limited in certain things because I got too overzealous thinking I was fucking overly badass. I was mildly badass last year, and now we're still paying the price for it. So I'm a firm believer in start doing that shit now. So I'm manifesting that you are going to be hanging upside down from a stripper pole in a year or two.
with a hot pink banana hammock.
Yes, and it's going to say MOBA right across the front.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely.
I love that you're just open to doing it. Like you're not even gonna ask questions.
No, it's going to happen.
So I can't believe, and I told you this was gonna happen. We didn't really get to a lot of anything.
Really
Um,
going to, it's going to happen.
no, it's gonna happen. Yes, Beth.
Yeah.
And Rabb did say if I send him a MOBA bra that he's gonna put on a MOBA bra. And
Proudly.
proudly. So before we go, because we're almost out of time, and it's actually time to also do the MOBA challenges.
Yes.
Give us one piece of advice that you would recommend to somebody who's about to start their journey with bariatric.
Okay. Develop your circle. Be and understand that live by three things: your time, your energy, and memories. So, evaluate the time that you're putting into your bariatric journey, the energy that you're putting into that, um, and create some memories. You're trying to live as long as you possibly can in good health, and proper preparation prevents poor performance.
Ooh, I like that. You should put it on a shirt. You just said it for everybody listening. You're acting like it's gonna be like some secret.
Not the world, though, but it could be.
Are you saying the whole world is not watching right now? Do you have little faith in my show?
Absolutely not. I have.
Because we have a lot of people watching right now. We're kind of a big deal.
You're kind of a big deal.
No, actually, you're the one who brought all the boys to the yard. It's fine. I get it. They're not here for me. It's fine. I'm used to it. On that note, I had already told Rabb he's going to come back on in the future and he's going to be another guest. So if there's questions that you would like to know from Rabb or have him get into next time, you can always send me a message on info@sherryarcuria.com. And for people who are watching too, this podcast was originally designed as a bariatric podcast, and I wanted to talk all things bariatric. But one of the things that I've been learning as I've been doing the show for the last year is I've been more fascinated with people's origin story and the journey that they've gotten to overcome their past and become the people that they are now. So I am open to having guests on the show who've overcome amazing feats or completely changed their mindset and have overcome adversity or some, crazy experiences. So if anybody's ever interested in wanting to share their story like Rabb has done, I will bully you into doing it as well. Send me a message as well. So on that note, I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time to be on my little podcast today, and I really appreciate it.
Thanks, y'all.
All right. You guys have an amazing week, and we will see you next week. And you can also join us on the MOBA challenges every single day on TikTok at Master of Badassery at this time at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we will see you next week.